Hello, welcome to my video. My name is Avatar Obi. I'm joined today by Chrissy, who was previously a guest for a anime and gaming con, and we're here to tell you about her experience with that and why maybe you should consider not doing it for your own safety. Chrissy, do you want to start by telling us a bit about your experience about that and how it went
Yeah, so
down?
hi, my name's Chrissy. I was a cosplayer, I still am, but kind of retiring away from that now, mostly because of Comic Con drama like this. And a couple of years ago, I was invited to an AnimeLeague convention. At first, I was just volunteering to hand out flyers until I got told to contact the owner directly on Messenger to possibly be a guest, which, as being a teenager still new to Comic Con, I thought, that's exciting. That's something really cool. Until it started to get really weird and quite dark actually. And
Yeah,
then
just a bit out of context. The
yeah.
owner of this event is Michael Stewart Towers, who runs AnimeLeague, and they run anime and gaming conventions. So you have like London Anime Gaming Con, Cardiff, I think, also has one. A few more, I can't remember off the top of my head. They used to run a convention called Alcon, which no longer runs due to the amount of controversy behind them. Essentially, the age of the person in question, Michael Towers, as of recording this video, he is over 41 years old. So I think that means, just for even more context, Chrissy, by the time you were born, he's older than you are right now.
He's older than my dad. Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
Sorry, yeah. So at the time, I was just excited to maybe be a guest. So I was breaking it down with him. I was like, "Oh, so you want me to work 7 hours?" He was like, "Oh no, it'd be still free, but you get a +1 privilege. But it's 7 hours work, but you don't get paid." I was like, "Oh, okay.
Big
Sure,
red
that's
flag there.
fine." I was like, I guess at the time, because I thought I was still volunteering to do flyers anyway, that'd maybe be why. But later on, I realized there was a lot of things where he didn't pay many or any guests, or even reimburse travel expenses, which is something
Yeah,
he didn't even converse with me about how I was getting there.
there was a
It
lot of
wasn't
issues
even
with a lot
brought
of
up.
cosplay guests who were promised payment and reimbursement, but they weren't. And
Mhm.
that's like the bare minimum that should be offered. If you're working at an event, you should have at least have your meals paid for, your travel, and your accommodation if you're staying overnight as well, paid for. Other conventions, if you were to guest at them, they would offer that for you. Unfortunately, Anime League events just never seem to do that, apart from free entry and maybe a T-shirt if you're lucky and do enough work for
Yeah, the
them.
T-shirt. That's what I was offered, I think. So it started with just a simple conversation, and then that was it. We just talked about me guesting, and I was like, right, that's fine. And then I started getting really weird messages like this is at midnight. So I got one at midnight, and he was like, "Stop showing up on my news feed." Me really confused. I was like, "What is going on?" And then he starts saying I'm a bad girl, and then saying, "Oh, but I wouldn't see your pretty face anymore." So then I ignored that, and then the next morning he started messaging me again because I was like, getting ready for college/school levels, and he was just talking about random things with me. But then it's like he kept trying and trying to talk to me outside of the whole guesting thing. So I
Okay.
didn't understand why it wasn't professional. So it was always at random times, like midnight. He'd be like, "Hi, how are you?" But then for later context, I found out he was always drunk texting me because he admitted to that.
Okay.
So
A weird
one
thing to
minute,
do,
I'm trying
drunk
to.
text with someone who's still in
Yeah.
school at midnight.
Yeah.
Like you had homework to do at the time.
So this is where it officially starts to get really weird. So on the 5th and 8th of September, so this is meant to be an event in a year. So I got message this in 2018, but he said, September 2019, there's going to be a Comic Con. I want you to guest. I said I'd struggle to travel there, otherwise I'm sorry. And then he puts drags as if to role play to drag me there. And I was like, so I ignored that and I said, honestly, I might be starting a new school at the time. If I can go there, I will. And then he says, strokes you.
I'm sorry to burst your bubble with it. You're not the first person he said that to. There's multiple DMs of him online with various girls where he does the whole strokes you thing. It's like his go-to line. So I'm sorry, you're not special about that, Chrissy.
Oh my
Sorry.
God. No.
That's the worst part. He said
Um,
it to a lot of people, and you must genuinely think it works or something.
I was just like, so I sent a question mark. I was like, what is going on? And he's like, that's fine, silly. And I said, you confused me there. And then, bear in mind, we haven't talked much. I've been actively ignoring some of his messages, only replying to be nice. He says, to be very blunt, I doubt you'll like it. This has gone from very, like, unserious to serious. And I said, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm confused. And he says, I fancy you. And then put in quotation marks, I like you. So sorry, I don't reciprocate those feelings. I am engaged. Now, at the time, I was going through a lot of period drama stuff. So when I said engaged, I didn't think it through. I was
Mhm.
like engaged with another relationship. I was trying to sound mature like an adult, and I get that's cringe. Sorry, guys. You say cringy stuff. I said, I hope that doesn't make things awkward. I'd still love to work with you on a professional level at your con. And he said, that doesn't bother me. But now he's like not talking like in his usual tone.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, cool, sorry, dude. And he says, I have a girlfriend too, but it's open. Now we'll get to her girlfriend, his girlfriend,
She's
in a
done a
little
lot,
while because she was
and
not
it's been
happy
like
with
years
this.
as well since after the event that she's been carrying on harassing you, isn't it?
Yeah, so I've had to block her. It got to the point where I didn't get accepted into a university because she reported me to the uni.
Mhm.
Like I've got all the receipts for that as well. So I said, "Oh, I panicked, haha," and then I tried to deflect it. I was like, "Oh, what's it like being in an open relationship?" Do you know, like like I didn't understand at the time what he meant.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so I said to him, sorry, I have anxiety, I'm overthinking things, I'm sorry if I offended you, because he started being really off with me.
Okay. After being rejected, yeah.
Yeah. And then he said, I see you as a friend and not a professional, a human people, not an entity. Bear in mind, I've never met this person in real life yet.
Mhm.
I was meant to be a Comic Con guest in a month for
And
him.
as we've established, he is
Yeah.
older than your dad.
And he's like much older. Yeah, because he's over 44 or something now, 40
Oh,
something.
something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And then I said to him, look, I'm sorry. And this was at the time where saying Asperger's was more socially accepted. So I don't
Mm, of
go by saying I have Asperger's anymore. I just have autism. So I
course,
said to
yeah.
him, my Asperger's tends to make my social skills a little bit limited. And he knows that my plus one was either going to be my mum or one of my carers at the time. So he said, sweetheart, Asperger's is the tagline of 2018. It's whatever, no offense. So you might have seen that screenshot go around every now and again.
Yeah,
But
because there's a
yeah,
collection of him saying a lot of very ableist and also very transphobic things that have been going around. Just
yeah.
because he seems to have a reputation for that sort of thing.
So I kept saying, sorry, I don't understand to all of his messages. I was like, I'm really confused. And he said, every year there's different excuses. It'll be bipolar, schizophrenia. Next year it'll be trans. So there he
Yeah,
started his turf shit.
yeah.
Pardon my language, sorry. So I just kept being really confused. I said, I'm really confused. I don't understand why you're talking to me like this. It feels like you're lashing out on me. And he said, maybe I am. I would apologize, but it feels like I've apologized too much. Now, if you go through every screenshot, he's never once said sorry.
Hmm.
It's just really chaotic. And these are all messages at midnight. All of these screenshots are always between 11 o'clock to midnight. So
Hmm.
I then, after I said, sorry, I'm panicking, I'm going to call it a night, and I stopped messaging him, I then had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, over 12 messages up to 4 a.m. saying, why are you panicking? Why are you panicking? This is ridiculous. I've got a lot on my mind. Then he finally said, hi, I'm sorry, I was drunk. And I said a few stupid things
I'm
there.
guessing he probably sold up towards 4 a.m., didn't he?
Yeah. And then a week later, he said, hi, how is it going? I'd like to move on. And that's when I completely blocked him and I didn't even turn up to the guesting event. And that's when I started finding that my address kept being sent AnimeLeague leaflets up to
Hmm.
2020, which is 2 years after. I shouldn't have been on the flyer list anymore, Joe, to hand out flyers because I asked them to remove me from the list. And I have an email about that as well. But I was still actively being sent maybe 50
They have
leaflets
had a
every
reputation
year.
as well for like keeping hold of people's information when they shouldn't have.
Mhm.
Like it's a GDPR like nightmare. And like I've had help people send messages saying, "Hey, please stop processing my data. It's you don't have my consent to process it anymore." Just to try and
Yeah.
get them to stop harassing them with things like leaflets, flyers, and so on.
It was actually your legal email that I used and sent to them. It's the notice to cease of processing. That's the one I sent them. But
Yeah.
that's when I realized that they used my full name,
Hmm.
lied about my age, and started putting things about me all over 4chan or some lollycow page. And I
Yeah.
had no idea about this until, like, when you Googled my old cosplay name, it came up as one of the first searches, and it was, like, really weird. But
Hmm.
he kept telling people I was in my 20s. Bear in mind, I've only just hit my 20s now, which is 5 years later. So,
Yeah. And also, still younger than he was when he was messaging you.
yep, which was really weird. And every year when the screenshots do come around, I do get really strange fake accounts on my Instagram inboxing me trying to talk to me about these screenshots, and it,
Hmm.
it reads just like him, or at least Mel. And the Anime League girls, let's call them, the girls that were brainwashed. I'm just gonna say brainwashed
I mean, it's
loosely
not
there.
wrong to say that at this point because they were given like false promises, and then they were
Yeah.
literally like fighting tooth and nail over the promise of a free T-shirt and maybe entry at an event, which is like,
Because I
silly.
am quite young and naive, and if it wasn't for the fact that I was showing these conversations to yourself and some other people in the cosplay community, I probably would have went along to the Comic Con, and God knows what would have happened after hearing some of the things that go down there.
Because they try and keep you in
The
a
red
bubble as well, and
flags
they
did
tell you that
happen.
everyone else is the one that's bad, and if you
Yeah.
don't stay with them, everyone's going to turn on you, right? And that's probably how they keep everyone else in line.
Like, there was so many red flags. Like, honestly, if he didn't outright ask me out, I probably would have turned up and he probably would have asked me in person, and that would have been a lot worse.
Didn't he also offer to buy you alcohol before you were old enough
Yeah,
to buy
that's
it
what I
yourself?
got into it. So I said, because he was on about a Comic Con, which is in a year. So at the time, I was still 17, just about. And he was like, "Oh, there's going to be a Comic Con in September 2019." And he was like, "Would you like to be a guest?" Now, this is about 4 or 5 Comic Cons away, so I was confused as to why he was asking me in the first place. I said, "Yeah, sure. Haha, I'll be 18 by then." Because he's never once asked me for my age. He never verified it. Like, when you're a guest at places and they're not quite sure about your age, you'd be asked to show a form of ID just to make sure you're not underage. Let's be honest, a lot of the
Hmm.
cosplay community are, and it's more of a like child protection thing. And he never once asked for that. And then he joked saying, "I'll buy you your first drink, just don't go telling everyone." So he made a joke, a self-aware joke, knowing what he is or what he's like. He said, "Don't be telling everyone I've bought you alcohol. You'll know what the internet will be saying." He said something like that.
Yeah, didn't he joke about how it'll be all over the news
Yeah.
if they find out he brought an underage girl alcohol?
Sorry if it sounds like I'm rambling a little bit. It's
No, it's
just,
fine. Just getting all the details in.
gosh. And then when you start spreading awareness on TikTok, so I've got 3 pinned TikToks about this, which is pretty much the same as the ones you've done.
Hmm.
And there's been so many times where I've had videos removed. There's been so many people's stories or posts that just magically disappear. And they're very good at scrubbing away as much as they can under the false pretense of bullying.
You do
Because
that a
if you
lot,
post
yeah.
screenshot videos on TikTok, it will try and automatically spam it as bullying because they use AI anyway.
Hmm.
So a lot of the videos and details get taken down about things like this. And I think some of my screenshots are one of the only ones that still exist because I just keep re-uploading them everywhere.
There were
So,
so many screenshots of like multiple like underage girls
mm,
like exposing talent, and a lot of them have been lost over time, purely because they get taken down. So
yeah,
people will
and
probably look it up and think, "Oh, I can't find anything; it must be made up." And really, like this has been going on since like 2008, before smartphones were even a thing.
bro, I was
Like,
7 by then. That is how
yeah, like
long
there
ago.
were like fucking screenshots from Skype, if people still even use that anymore,
Oh
of
my
him being a
gosh.
creep to underage
Yeah.
people.
So there was a ginormous DeviantArt post that had a lot of screenshots in, and that magically disappeared over the years. And the reason I'm bringing that one up is they got bullied off every single platform, and it was a cosplayer that I can't remember the name of, sadly. I will have to try and find this afterwards, but to the point where they got bullied off every platform because of what I'm calling the AnimeLeague brainwasher army outright spam and spam report you, spam give you bad messages. Like, it's horrible. Now, I have not had too much of a problem because I did outright threaten lawyers, and I
Hmm.
think that's the thing they're most afraid of.
That's why most of the people they obviously harass are usually kids who don't know how to do that sort of thing.
Yeah, but it was just a really, really strange and weird experience, and it's kind of frightening that they do still have my old address.
Hmm.
Luckily, I have moved a few times, but it still makes me think, like, for the years I was still there, I was still continuously getting letters,
Yeah.
which felt like a form of intimidation almost. Like, they know I wasn't part of it.
Hmm.
He actually actively took the mick out of me.
And they also actively like
Yeah.
get their like volunteers and staff to do it on their behalf, so they can deny any like accountability if someone says, "Hey, you're making people do this." Like, oh, they're not with
Mhm.
us. Because I've got a YouTube video, obviously, on my main channel about AnimeLeague and the previous history and so on that I've gone into a lot of detail about. And every single like without fail, every few months or so, when they have a new event coming up, suddenly I get a lot of comments on that video from people saying, "Oh, I went to this event and it was fine. Ignore this." And I think it's because, right, if you ever search any of their events, my videos are the first thing that come up, and they need to try and like make it look. They can't get it taken down.
That is the thing, though, with the limited amount of Comic Cons, they go to places that they know don't have a lot of Comic Cons, so the kids or like younger cosplayers won't have a choice. And
Hmm.
they'll all think, "Oh, AnimeLeague must be good. It's the only Comic Con. I can't afford to travel anywhere else. And that's where a few of us on TikTok have gone in to try and tell the kids or tell the younger generation of cosplayers. Just because it's the easiest and most accessible cosplay event to you doesn't mean that you should still go and support it.
Yeah.
Like, you can still support cosplay communities other ways and maybe one day save up. I know it's not the best thing, just say save up and go to one elsewhere,
I
but
think it's
there's
just a
really
case of
no
like kids really
alternative.
want to go to an event and they want to go to the first one as soon as possible, and it's probably the only thing
Yeah.
they can afford, which is probably what they're hoping for as well. But like they need to understand that it is very like exploitative and like predatory in the way that they're being targeted for being like, hey, we're going to offer you the chance to be a cosplay guest, which might sound amazing to like a 13-year-old, you know, being a headline like event guest, when they don't realize you're just doing like a weekend's worth of like literal child labor,
Yeah.
unpaid, and you'll get a t-shirt at the end of it.
And it wasn't like how most Comic Cons usually make sure sellers don't sell bootleg stuff.
Hmm.
But literally every other stall, if it didn't have ginormous hentai body pillows of lollies and
Yeah.
other things, there would just be outright copies, fakes, and bootlegs.
Hmm.
If you don't go down Artist Valley anyway, a lot of them were just drop ship stalls. So it
They
wasn't even
are.
a reputable cosplay
It's not.
or like
In,
Comic
in
Con.
regards to their reputation as well, a lot of people probably think, oh, I'm just starting off in my cosplay career because I'm only like obviously 14, 15, and this might be my
Hmm.
very first event. And they might be aware of their reputation. They think, oh, if I just go to like one or two as a guest, I can use that to boost my reputation. You're actually going to end up doing the opposite because a lot of people are aware of
Yeah.
Anime League and their reputation. If you try to apply at their events later on and say, oh, I've done work for this organization, it's more like a red flag and you'll probably get like blacklisted from a lot of like independent Comic Con events
Yeah, there was
because you promoted them.
an event that did that. It was a Vocaloid,
Yeah.
I think, event, and they wanted to run one at Anime League, and the community kicked off that much that they actually stopped running events at all until they could find a better venue. And I think that's the best way to go because then everyone realized that they actually took on board what the community was saying. They actually
Yeah.
went to go support that event at a later date at a different venue. So it's more thinking, oh, are you actually listening to the people or are you just doing it for the money, you know?
Yeah.
And a lot of people unfortunately go for whatever's easiest and what tiny bit of money Anime League may give you.
If they give you anything at all, but I think
Yeah.
because they're naive children, they don't know any better, really,
Mm.
unfortunately. And it's either they can either, you know, hear people talk about their experiences and like take that on board, or they can just learn the hard way, which a lot of them have already done.
So there was one last thing. I know it's a bit disjointed how I've
No
talked about
worries.
it, sorry. So there was like I think it 4chan or something I don't normally read or use. And that's where I got told off someone that does use it that my name were popping up. And at the time I was still under 18 and he was referring to me as a cam girl or future cam girl and then taking the mick out of me for my name because I go by Chrissy, but my name is actually Crystal. And he was saying with a name like that, of course, what else is she going to be? So that was a bit weird to say about, you know, a guest slash child that you was going to work with,
Yeah.
saying that you're a cam girl sounding person. Lovely.
Also, lovely the fact that he acknowledged the fact that, oh, she's not old enough yet. I should probably say she's going to be a future one.
Yeah.
Because like he
He did
acknowledged it on a certain
clarify.
level at one point, didn't he?
So he said something. I know exactly who that pastel KryssieKat is. She is in her early 20s. When she was 18, she was listed as a guest at Manchester Anime League, and then just a load of bad things. But those screenshots are really blurring now, and it's something that's been mostly taken down. It's
Hmm.
from the CGL cosplay and EGL thread. That's where it was.
Okay.
But he was outright telling everyone I was in my 20s. So in 2018, I was just turned 17, and then I'm only hitting my 20s now. But he's still going by the fact that I hit my 20s then and still actively telling people I'm a different age, which I still think is a really weird way to cover it up.
It really is. And I think you mentioned
Yeah.
as well how Mel also literally took that a little
Yeah.
further, didn't she?
So Mel was also on the thread, and she was apparently his girlfriend at the time, or maybe one of them, because he was in an open relationship according to the screenshot.
Hmm.
And Mel wasn't aware that this was meant to be an open relationship for a bit of context, so she'll probably try and correct that now. At the time, she didn't know he was saying that to people, so I was called a homewrecker and a whore. And at the time, as you know, normal A-level students do, I was applying for universities, and someone in particular was on a student union board and could, you know, I announced on one of my social medias, which was a mistake, which universities I was applying to, and I had no idea that she had access to one of them. And I realized that a certain university instantly rejected me for no particular reason. And when I called up and asked them them to clarify, they said I had a history of bullying or student misconduct, and I'd never ever spoke to anyone from Edge Hill, and that is the university. And I thought that was very weird. So the only person that I knew or found out that went there was Mel, and I can only assume that she had said something that had unfortunately got my application terminated. And then on top of that, for the last 2-3 years, every now and again I get very weird anonymous messages, and it has the same kind of tone and the same messages as what I used to get from Towers and Mel, and used to always call me like slut shaving names or
I believe you've had to like limit
whore.
your Instagram DMs as well because of that, didn't you?
Yeah, so it took to the point where I've actually slowly quit cosplaying to the extent that I used to. I don't go to Comic Cons anymore. I used to get really bad panic attacks about attending even non-Anime League Comic Cons just in
Because
case I
they
saw
tend to go there to
anyone from
promote
that
them as well,
list.
don't they? So
Yeah. So it's been years since I've gone to one of the big Manchester ones just because I'm so frightened of bumping into anyone that was associated with AL. I'll only go to the ones that are smaller or based in Yorkshire, maybe. That's to the point where I used to get so many really bad DMs, I had to completely shut down all my message requests. And then when it got so bad, because at the time, like most cosplayers do, I had a donate link when I used to do a bit of streaming, and I'd get like donations of like 1p, but it'd have really like disgusting messages on them. And I honestly believe it's all linked to everything that's gone on, because obviously
yeah.
I was quite public with the way that I shared my screenshots. So a lot of people realised that, and there are a lot of people that are very hardcore supporters of Anime League, and that's only been, let's say, like exacerbated since TikTok became quite popular, because I've been one of the older cosplayers that's been trying to teach the newer ones not to go there. And the
Yeah.
more awareness videos you do, the more hate and backlash you do actually get.
That's true. And like this isn't even like a one-off occasion. Like this has happened to like multiple cosplayers over a period of years that have eventually had, and it's not like they harass you for a bit and leave you alone. They carry it on for like literally a long period of time, like this, literal years. And it's even happened to people who have like actually been working for them and then, one day left them or maybe bad terms and so on. They then turn on those people, which is even more messed up.
And then I found one of the original threads now where someone had put the screenshots that I'm going to show in the actual thread. And they was even taking the mick out of small things, saying Jesus, Tesco Mobile, and then making jokes like kind of classist jokes, calling people poor and things. Let's see.
Essentially trying to nitpick at any reason they can to like put you down, really.
There was even a comment apparently where they accused you of grooming me, which at the time, no. He was like, honestly, the big brother that rescued me from all this
Yeah.
stuff.
He's grooming her to not hang out with a 40-year-old man
Yeah.
who's offering to buy her first alcoholic drink.
And then Mel was putting that I'm a low-level cosplayer that's just been found on YouTube. I'm an attention whore. I'm just doing this for attention because I've got no followers. They really think of you as like this top tier everywhere in the cosplay community guy, which you are. But like you've got some sort of mysterious like energy around
I
it.
reckon they probably tell like stories about me around a campfire at night with like a torch held up to their
That's what I
face.
mean. Yeah. But it got to the point where they was just making ableist jokes, classist jokes, and even saying things about both of our disabilities, and joking about doxing people, which is, everyone's favorite topic at the moment, doxing people.
They love to do that.
Yeah.
Was there anything else that you wanted to add on about Anime League and what they've done? Just so everyone get the full picture of, maybe this is not a company I ever want to work with or attend an event for.
Let's sum it all up. Asks out underage cosplayers, puts them into free child labour to be a guest there, sells bootleg stuff, doesn't, oh wait, the steal charity money, that's something we've not touched on,
That
but that
is,
can be
yeah.
another video. Steal charity money. They didn't pay one of the maid cafes at the time as well, which I think was Maid Moe of England. If you can get in contact with them, there was a time
I've
where they
heard
didn't
about that.
pay 'em.
I don't think I know anyone directly involved, but I need to look into that one because I've heard. Obviously, I know cosplay guests that were promised money, like for being guests that weren't paid or even expensive. But I know that wasn't the end of it. I'm pretty sure there were maid cafes and other. I think there might have been a few musical acts as well, like for DJing stuff that didn't get paid either. But I don't know those people personally, so I've not reached out to them about it. But I might have
And
to at some
then
point.
last year on their Instagram, I think you might remember this one, they posted 3 guests which were clearly underage. And then when we all kicked off about it, they removed the guests and said, we don't hire anyone underage, but they still guested anyway.
I think
And
at
that
the
was
time they also
interesting.
like when it announced those guests, they didn't announce the age of those guests. I think the only reason people found out was because they saw on the Instagram profile of the guests that they were minors, and there was no like safeguarding against it, like having them attend with like a parent or anything or any sort of like,
hmm
and they did
But
none of
that's
it.
all I can think of off the top of my head. It has been a few years and it's been a lot of post-COVID. It was that long ago. So my memory is a little bit shaky for a lot of it. It is one of those things where it's scary to talk out because this will all kick things back up again. But I'd rather talk out so that future like cosplayers don't
Yeah.
get put in the same kind of positions or situations. Like I'm quite lucky that it wasn't as bad for me because I saw the red flags. I reached out to like people I knew in the community like yourself who helped me through it all. And honestly, if I didn't, it probably would have been a lot worse. And that's all I can really say today.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's the reason why we need to keep making content about this, sharing the video, making sure people are aware of it. And I think having video content out there as well that people can easily link and share to other people to give the information freely. I think accessing information easily, that's one of the reasons why this sort of stuff like stays in circulation and people are aware of it. I think that's the one thing they hate most, really. The fact they can
Yeah.
very easily just pass on a ton of information about them to someone and give them all the context that they can't really obfuscate or hide or anything. And that's kind of why we need to be doing it.
Yeah.